All right, what's going on YouTube? It is Season 8, finally, and that means that I'm going to give you another best controller settings for the finals since we have a new season. I do this every single season. I found some of the secret sauce that is needed to compete. As a controller player, there are a lot of people who are insane with some of the default settings. I just think they're talented gamers nonetheless, but I like to be able to play as if I am on mouse and keyboard with controller, and there are a few secret things that I've found work to do that, and I don't think anyone else knows how to do that yet, so I'm going to share that with you. I have some secret sauce that I just found this season if you're on PC. Now, a lot of these things you're not going to find anywhere else, and they're still going to work for you if you're on console. But there's one thing that has really worked for me recently that it feels really, really, really nice that I'm excited to share that happens through Steam that I would like to show you. But base settings, these are my controller settings. I'm going to show you just the numbers. I'm going to explain what they do so you can figure out for yourself. But we're going to start in general. If you're a controller player, if you want to play like me, fast like me, auto sprint on, auto sprint trigger delay, 0. This makes it so one of the moves I use most often, right? If I'm fighting in a fight and they've hit more shots than me, I can, instead of just sitting here and waiting for the gunfight to end and me dying, I can slide to the right and then recenter and shoot. That way they're still shooting at where I was, and then I can kind of re-even the gunfight and give myself back the advantage. You can only do that if you sprint as soon as you go in a direction, because you have to be sprinting to slide. So you can essentially slide immediately no matter what, as long as you're looking that way. So I can even slide behind me and start re-engaging if I make myself a smaller target. That is why that is so important. You can also bunny hop out of it, so I can be shooting on losing, and then bunny hop. And you can see how valuable that can be in a gunfight. That's why I recommend that. It's less button presses. You can also have like your left stick click to be sprint. But the biggest thing for me is this opens up a binding on your controller, and since keyboard and mouse has such an advantage in terms of pressable buttons, to even the playing field, this actually gives us an extra button, because I never have to click my left stick click ever, because this is on. I'm going to sprint automatically. That is how I equip my button, so I can bring out my jump pad, hit it, and then I can cancel. I can just click in my left stick, and I have my thing out. That's kind of how I do this. I can go from gadget to here. It's kind of like my ADHD YY movement here. I do it with the sniper as well. It lets me equip fast while I'm moving. It's really big deal that I can get a whole binding out of that left stick click. But here are my sensitivity settings. Let me get rid of my face cam and stuff so you can see. It's gonna look a little intimidating, but stay with me. I'm gonna explain everything so that you understand what's going on here. So I've got my 745, 615 sense here. Works for me. I like my look vertical sensitivity a little bit less because I need a little bit more speed to look left and right, but I'll explain what makes up for it here. This looks insane. I know. I have it. Before I get to that, zoom sensitivity in multiplayer helps with my tracking. 35% is a little bit slow, but it helps to make this tracking a little bit more manageable. Especially at farther targets. It's what works for me. I've been using the sniper so much because I'm not a little bit used to the recoil pattern of the F-car, but you get a general sense. Like I can follow people while they're moving pretty well with 35. It just feels the most comfortable for me, so that's why I recommend it to you. And then you see this 135% looks insane. Looks insane, okay? If you're gonna have this, you need to have this on. I just found out what this does. You get a little bit less input lag with it off. I have it on because it helps keep this manageable, and I'll show you how. So if I go over to the sniper, this setting only affects the sniper and the pike, because those are the only two guns that have super high zoom sensitivity like this. I want a higher sensitivity than my base sensitivity in the sniper, and I'll tell you why. If I see him, I'm coming around the corner. If I see someone and I scope in like too far to the right, I can flick and still hit that headshot. If you saw what I was doing. So I can scope in wrong, a little bit wrong, but I can make that hyper, like micro flick, even though I scoped into the right of him, if you saw that really slow. So I don't have to be super on his head to hit a perfect headshot. I can be next to him and still make that hyper flick to still hit my target. It's huge with single shot weapons there. You can be hyper lethal, but if you don't want to do that and you got really good centering, by all means, keep it at 100 or something like that. But that is why I do that. I've been running a lot of sniper, and that's how I sniped in COD. I always have a higher zoom sensitivity multiplier for snipers for that reason alone, and I find it super useful, as you see there. So I'd keep it like that. It really affects your zoom sensitivity multiplier if you have this off. So I recommend this on if you've had it on. But if you're going to mess around and make your own settings, you do get an advantage from turning this off. Now, my horizontal look boost. This is something I'm going to touch on. This helps you flick around. I'm going to still go over why my sense is so high up here. There's a few things I have on my controller that make this possible, but the look boost goes hand in hand with the high sense. And so I'm going to show you my controller in real life to explain my situation, and I'm going to recommend a few things to you. Now, I'm using the Wolverine V3 Pro. When we go over my controller bindings, keep in mind, I never take my thumbs off my thumbstick. You need to be able to keep them on your thumbstick at all times. I jump with my left bumper so that I can do that. Do not leave this video jumping with any of the face buttons. Do not lift your thumb off of the left or right stick to press a button and then come back. That means if you do that, okay, ignore that, it's embarrassing. If you do that, you jump and then aim. Jump, then aim, right? That's stupid. I'm jumping over here and then I'll go hit him. Boom, 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 jump over here and then I'll go hit him. You need to be able to jump and track at the same time. See how I'm hitting that bunny hop and still tracking him? That is not possible. Or slide and track him at the same time. You not slide and then look at him. You need to be able to do that all at the same time. Now, this is possible with either playing claw, or you can just change those two bindings to, I do right stick click for slide, and then I do jump with left bumper. I recommend you do that. I did that with the default controller, and it works for me. So, I have a lot of extra buttons. This controller is amazing. I have extra buttons on my bumper, right? I hold my controller like this. I have 4 extra buttons on the back, what I always have a finger on no matter what. And I have these extra bumper buttons, and I have 2 fingers near them no matter what, so I can hit them whenever I need to. That enables me to have as many accessible binds as, wow, that's annoying, as a keyboard and mouse player, or just enough to be able to compete with them as a keyboard and mouse player, if that makes sense. So that is why it's important to either learn to play claw or use the directional wheel. But it lowers your response time, and I recommend at least 4 paddles so that you can avoid the directional wheel. The way I do that is with those buttons, but obviously I use directional equipping so I can just tap and have the gadget or weapon out that I need, just like a keyboard and mouse player would do. Now, this is a big difference with my old videos. I used to recommend Sensudonial. Now I'm on linear, and now that I'm here, I'm going to explain this extra sauce. If you're on PC and on Steam, here's some extra sauce for your controller. Now, I'm going to show it to you, and then I'm going to explain. Okay, I've got to swap this over to the right PC. I've got 2 mice, but one of them's terrible, so I've been using the same mouse for both my PCs. So you go over here, and I go into Steam, and I go into controller layout. This feels very Apexy, but I go into my edit layout, and I go to joystick. Okay, you go here, and you go into the settings, and I've got a custom response curve. So I want the in-game curve to be straight, just straight 1 for 1. It increases the farther you push it out, linear, just like you would for Apex or anything. But I have this set aggressively 289 in every game, no matter what. Even Marvel Rivals, Apex, it's worked for me. 289, and then I have my command radius down to 22880. That makes it so I don't have to push as far out on my controller to hit that max sensitivity. Now, ignore this if you don't have anything around your right stick. I have these around my right stick. They are not foam rings. I used to recommend foam rings. The issue with foam rings, these, is that they, once you start, let me zoom in. Once you start like pushing into them, they lose their stiffness. You see this? This thing is a limp. It does nothing. It's basically just air. These are brand new ones. They look great. They help you stay on target. You need something around your right stick if you want to be super accurate at high sense. I recommend it to people all the time. But I solved that problem, or a company solved that problem, and they made these rings that I put around my controller. Now, these did not feel great. So if you see them like that, maybe they're for you, not for me. These, however, feel amazing. Okay, focus on them. Now, they're a little cone-shaped, as you can see. So I have them like this. The top of the stump stick is here, but they're rubber. They're silicone. So no matter how many times you push into them, they snap right back into form. You never have to buy any rings ever again. With foam, you have to continuously buy them. So I have a thumbstick extender, and I've got this rubber ring. See how it pushes against the edge, against my pressure there? I'm going to do this explanation. I do this every time. The advantage it gives you here, my controller disconnecting and connecting, is say you're holding a pistol with just one hand, and you want to hit the target. If you're holding it without any support, it's going to be really hard to stay on target and hit what you're trying to hit. But if you put your hand underneath, all of a sudden you're pushing down with this hand and up with this hand, and that equalization of pressure means if I want to go down to aim, all I do is release some of the pressure on my hand while keep pushing down. So I'm releasing pressure to move down, and it helps you stay more accurate instead of telling your muscles to push down, which is just as it is, just less accurate. So that equalization of pressure allows me to release pressure to aim in a certain direction. That is what this does. If I'm aiming all the way to the right, I can release that pressure to make micro adjustments. You see that? And what this custom response curve does is it makes it this much more sensitive to little movements. I barely ever move my stick. This is going to take some getting used to, trust me. With this, it won't take as much time, but this ring, it gets hard to get the very edge of my stick, obviously. So that is why I do this. I make the edge of my stick closer than it would be really, so I can hit it easier, but I still use that resistance. I do this in every game now that I use that. But the biggest thing, this makes it so that it makes it super high sensitive. So if I go back into game and you look at my controller, and you're not gonna be, because we're zoomed in on my controller, but look how my screen moves. Look at these tiny little movements I'm making and how I'm looking around. Like I'm barely touching my stick, and we're making these big adjustments. You see this? That makes it so, like when I'm in scope, I can just barely move my stick, but I'm still pushing my arm that way, and that relief of pressure still makes me accurate. And I know, oh my gosh, I gotta stop it from doing that. That's so embarrassing. But I know it works. Like I'm showing you, like it works. Like it. All right, well, that was terrible. I'm holding my controller different, but you can still be super accurate while you're doing this, and it seems crazy, but not only can you be accurate, but you are even more accurate than you ever could be before. I promise you, please give it a try. People are asking how I beam people once I learn the recoil pattern of a certain weapon. It helps me be hyper accurate. If I'm using the sniper, oh my gosh, making these tiny little adjustments, and then I barely flick my finger to hit that shot. So I can barely move it, and once you get the muscle memory down for how much it's going to move, you can consistently hit that shot constantly with it little effort. And then you can reserve the outside of your stick for super high sensitivity, which is what this look boost is going to do. When you hit that max out on the right or left side, when you're pushing it all the way, you have that push out all the way portion of your stick reserved for super high sense. So I'm fighting normal sense. Look, I'm making little adjustments. I can track, but I can track people super accurately with little micro adjustments, no matter where they're at. But if there's someone shooting me in the back, I can go, oh crap, and flick all the way around. Super fast. So I can get the best of both worlds, because on controller, you're usually having to pick between either slow sense and highly accurate, or high sense and a hard target to hit. You can get the best of both worlds if you're using something like this. Now, this is still possible on console. If you max out these senses, use these settings with foam rings or silicone rings, you will get just as much of an advantage. But if you are on PC on controller and you're looking to compete to a level that is on par with keyboard and mouse, I'm telling you, I just gave you the sauce, man. I'm telling you, I just did. The important part is, though, if you're using a custom response curve through Steam, make sure this is on linear, because that keeps it consistent with the, oh, well, I've been waiting in here too long, with the custom response curve there. So you can actually control it out there. That's what I found with Apex. That made Apex the same way. Like, I can compete with keyboard and mouse, aim and movement at the same time because of that hypersensitivity and the release of pressure on that rubber ring. Again, if you're on console, this will work just as well. I'm going to recommend the GameSir G7 Pro if you're on Xbox. You're going to have the exact like response time 0 Deadzone. So you're going to feel like one for one. As soon as you do something, it's going to do it in game. The default controller specifically on Xbox has a mandatory input delay, which means when you press a button on console on Xbox, nothing happens for 500 milliseconds. When I press a button in this game on my PC, something happens immediately as soon as I press the button. But for you, if you're on default console, you're waiting 500 milliseconds. You don't feel it because you're used to it. But if you played on 1,000 hertz or 1 millisecond response time, you would be like, holy crap. You would feel the difference, trust me. But there are controllers out there now. Back when I was playing on console, wow, these are my UNC status coming to the front. But now when I play on console, it's unbearable. But back when I was playing on it, there were no options. Now there are. Controller companies are catching on. If you're on PlayStation, I'm pretty sure you're just chilling. Even in wireless mode, I'm pretty sure you're good on response time. PlayStation makes... I'm an Xbox guy growing up, okay? This is not me being impartial or whatever, but I don't know what Xbox is doing. Their controllers suck unless they have their been made custom. PlayStation, you're chilling. You're good. I prefer that layout anyway, but Xbox, you need to get a custom controller or you're just dealing with a response time disadvantage with people. Trust me on it. Now, that's my recommendation. GameSir G7 Pro. It's under $100. Mine's on the way, and I'm not even on console. Love that, but the software's great. Anyway, so that is my secret sauce for that. I'm going to go over my video settings here for a little bit. It's I used to play on Epic. That changed because the frames I get from running lower. Now, I pay for skins and stuff, and I just got the diamond skin, so I have textures on high, so it looks good in my hands. But other than that, everything else is on low. I used to play on high, and it looked fantastic, but I was running 90 frames, and I was like, whatever, I make content, I want it to look good. Yeah, and then I went down, just tried it for a game, and wow, it was very worth it to turn it on low. So I recommend that now. The rest of my controller binds, keep in mind, if you have stick drift, this is what's going to fix it right here. You're aiming and moving enter Deadzone. That'll fix it. I recommend not fixing it and get used to keeping your thumbstick on controller to mitigate it yourself. But if it gets too crazy, because some controllers do, especially if you don't have TMR or Hall effect sticks, this is how you would fix that, these two. Never touch these. They will ruin your aim. Always keep these 0. These are for when you're hip fire. This helps your movement so much. I recommend these settings exactly. Always have this on 500 no matter what. You can play with these two on your own. This is what I find most comfortable. Linear is for my software. If you're on console, Sinsudonial's your best friend. Go Sinsudonial. But if you're on PC through Steam, I'm telling you, try linear and do those settings that I recommended with some sort of foam or silicone around your stick. Trust me, man. You're going to hate it for like 3 games. You can take your game to a complete other level. And I hope someone younger and better than me does this, and I can see the full potential of it, because I know some of you will take these settings I found and go absolutely insane in it. So I hope I see that. These are my bindings. Keep in mind, anything that is a face button is a paddle or a button next to my bumper. But I'm going to show these because people still ask. And here's everything else. But that is how I play there. Here are my social settings. I push to talk in case I'm trying to get funny impressions on people in game. I actually do play mouse and keyboard sometimes. So this is what I play here. I'm no expert, though. So if you play mouse and keyboard, I would not listen to me. But if you are somewhat of a casual mouse and keyboard, here are mine, just in case you're wondering what they are. Accessibility settings, here they are. This is really important right here. The invert flashbang color, I hate when it goes all white. Motion blur disabled, obviously. And here's everything else. Music volume's on 1 because I put my own music in my videos and I don't want their music on top of my music. So I would recommend it on. The Finals is one of the best in the industry when making music. But those are all of my settings. And if you have any questions that I haven't answered, please let me know down in the comments below, because I take pride in this. I feel like I've found some secret sauce. I'm telling you, it's gonna feel crazy going to that much of a sensitive input is going to be insane for a little bit. But once you get used to making tiny adjustments and seeing a lot, it almost feels like your brain is completely just plugged into the game, and you make a little bit of a thought and it does exactly what you want. I'm telling you, with those micro flicks in scope, you don't see a lot of people on controller making those micro flicks and hitting headshots. And you can still keep your aim good when you're using normal stuff like the FCAR or the AK. So it's really the best of both worlds, the best of everything, keeps you the most competitive. I hope this helped. If I didn't answer any questions, I'm really active in my comments, so ask me in the comments what you want to see or what you want me to answer that you still have questions for. I will keep coming back to this video, but these are my controller settings, the sauce for Season 8. Go out there and punish some people on a different input. Love y'all. Peace.